Hey guys, still there and welcome back to Stormworks. Since I last designed the helo in episode 10, I have changed it a little bit. I added a few more floats to make sure it accidentally lands on water a little bit more stable. I have a couple more fuel tanks on here, and with the fuel tanks I also decided to go for a fuel connector which is easier to reach, and a dial which tells me how much fuel I actually have on board. So between those fuel tanks, I can now carry about 562 liters of fuel if I'm not mistaken. So that should be able to get me to where I need to go and keep me airborne a little longer. There is one more thing that I need to do, and that is to adjust the gearbox a little bit or actually add a gearbox for the tail rotor. Because currently without a gearbox in the tail rotor, I'm not really getting as many revs as I would like. And that is impacting my ability to quickly swing the helo left and right. So I need to make sure that a couple of rotations from the engine are being translated to many rotations on my tail rotor. So I'm going to put it on a 1:3 ratio. And that should provide me with plenty of, well, not firepower, but plenty of rotational force for the actual tail rotor. Let's connect that to the clutch over there. As for these things up here, I have a 2:5 and a 1:3. I'm going to keep it to 2:5. Okay, so now all we need is a mission. And, oh, I don't have a bed in this helo. I do have 4 seats. See, the maximum number of seats that you need is 5. Because you have sometimes a mission come up where it says that you need to transport 5 people. Fortunately, you can also transport a passenger in a bed. It's a bit weird, but it works. So that's what I'm going to do, and to make sure that I also can skip time if and when I need to. So for now, since there are no really good missions that I can do, I'm going to just sleep. And hope that something pops up quite soon. Rescue a research submariner. Now see, for that, you need a good set of diving equipment, and I don't have that. I haven't unlocked that part yet, so I'm going to have to just sleep on it. I'm very sorry for the submariner, but I will not be able to rescue him. It is simply not within my capabilities. This is something else. Retrieve a sunk research drone. These things aren't actually sunk. It's just a matter of towing these things back to base. And it's a quick mission with no deadline. I could take the boat out and go do it. Yeah, let's go do that. I know you guys want to see the helicopter, and I want to show you the helicopter, but I also need to keep unlocking new parts. And these missions, very low risk, very easy to do, so let's go out there and do it. Provided, that is, that I have a connector on the tail of this boat, which I do not. Okay. That's a bit unfortunate, because that means that I'm going to have to send the helo anyway, because the helo has a winch on it. The helo, however, is very precious to me, as it currently has the only water cannon that I have. So if I somehow crash the helicopter, and I need to put out a fire, then I cannot do that. I'm just stuck with bringing the helicopter back, whichever way I can, to a base, despawn it, and then I can actually get the stuff back, so the fluid cannon. That is, until I unlock the part myself. Alright, this is going to take a bit more time than normal, because we're uploading, or we're transferring 3 times the fuel. Unfortunately, this display doesn't quite work yet. Oh, right, hang on. There's one more adjustment that I need to do to the helo. And that is a change in the add block that I have on it. Because currently I have these 3 tanks. So the one there, the other one over here, and one in the back. That was part of the original helo. Here it is. I have all of those things looped to one add block. So it takes the contents of each fuel tank and then adds those up. But it transfers the signal from one of the fuel tanks. That's where this one is telling the dials how much fuel there is, which of course is no longer accurate, because it should add up the total of all the fuel tanks and not just the one of them. So this should be the updated version. And now I can try to fill it up again. It's immediately hooked up, but it is set to pump out. So we're going to pump in. Transfers a lot of fuel very quickly. And we're full. Okay. Time to get this thing to fly. So we're going to get a little bit of throttle. Start the engine. Engines are powering up. Tail rotor's powering up. I can enable the clutch. That was button 3. And now we should be able to take off if I give it a little bit more throttle. For some reason though... See, that tail rotor really, really works. It might even be a little bit too powerful for what I'm currently having it do. Clutch. There we go, we're airborne. Tail rotor is working fast and hard. And I can very easily swing this thing around now. So, let's go to that research drone. It's only 1.8 clicks away. And with all the gearboxes I have on this helo, I'm still getting quite a lot of RPS. Much more than I need, actually. I could probably go with the second gearbox in a 1:3 ratio as well. And I'm still gaining altitude. Now this helo has a winch on it. You can see it dangling down there underneath it. Unfortunately, I cannot immediately connect it, because the sunk research drone does have a connector on it, but you need to toggle it on first. So the plan is to land the helo on those floats, close to the research drone, then connect it up. So I'm gonna have to... Whoa! I'm gonna have to get off the helicopter. Sorry, submariner researcher or swimmer, but it's not really something I could help. I'm gonna have to land, get off, turn on the connector, and then connect my winch to the drone. And with that, I can then hopefully pull the whole thing out of the water and bring it back to the research base. Fuel-wise, we have plenty to make that trip. Let's lower the collective a little bit. Keep in mind that in a helo you can always trade altitude for airspeed. So if I think that I'm not going fast enough, I can... Or if I'm not going high enough, I can slow down a little bit. And with that, I immediately start gaining altitude. 240, 220. I can sort of make it out there in the water. Oh, that was a bit too little collective. One thing that this helo does not have, but which it definitely needs, is a sensor over here that tells me how fast I'm going up or down. So a vertical speed indicator. Alright, there's your research drone. Let's see, what's its orientation like? If I'm not mistaken, then I'm landing close to the bow. Gently touch it down. Whoa, don't tip it. Not touching the controls now, just seeing if the helo actually stays airborne. Well, airborne. No, it doesn't tip over. Seems to work for now. So I can turn on the magnet. Magnet's on. Now back into the helo. Take off. Lower the winch, that was... Whoa, what's it doing? Lower the winch, that's number 4. Turn it on. And usually you can immediately see these connectors trying to go closer to each other. Gently move it closer. Normally I do this with a boat, but the boat that was close to the helo base was not equipped with a winch. Come on. Gotcha. Alright, where's the base? The base is 2.1 kilometers that way. I'm just not sure if I can actually lift this thing with the amount of engines that I have. So I'm going to sort of drag it. Let's see. Yeah, the helo is fighting me a little bit on this. Let's give it more throttle. There we go, it's now airborne. So it is out of the water. And apparently the helo can do that. I just wonder how much airspeed I can get up to. 70, 80... I'm still gaining altitude as well, so that's going well. RPS is currently quite low, because the helo is really struggling to keep airborne like this. 1.6 clicks out. Fuel's still good. We just used 60 liters of fuel, which for a mission like this is peanuts. It's really not important. Altitude 30 meters. Speed 82. And this is going well. And we'll be there very soon. If I'm doing 80 kilometers per hour, this should take me about 50 seconds. 45 to 50 seconds. And then I don't really need to land this thing into the water. So I don't need to actually touch down. I just need to get close enough to the objective and then I can release the drone. But it's a little foggy. So I'm having a bit of a hard time to actually find the thing. There's the island and there's the bay. There's the research base itself. That's the house that they use. So I need to land this thing or drop it close to that red circle down there. I'm sure that this is not how they were expecting to get their research drone back. Not the delivery method they were expecting. There we go. And I'll drop it. And I can bring my winch back in. So I got a fluid pump, a fluid nozzle, and some other stuff. A fluid pump is excellent, excellent news. Because it makes it much easier for me to build a custom fuel tank. And that means I don't have to have 3 separate fuel tanks anymore. Now, let's do a quick flyover at lower altitude here. Because sometimes there are the loot crates. And don't worry, there's not the loot crates that you're paying for. But the loot crates that actually pay you with more stuff. Sometimes a blueprint if you're lucky, so you can get more parts. But usually it's just cash and a couple of parts for your inventory. So you're... Oh, what the hell? What the hell? See, this I don't understand at all. I do understand that I have to get out of this helo as quickly as possible. It was just flying. And then it decided to completely crash. No idea why. No idea how I tripped that. No idea what caused it. And I have no reason to get this helo back to base. Short of bringing a boat in. And equipping it with a winch. And then dragging the helo back to the helicopter outpost. Or to the Coast Guard outpost. Right. Because with my engines underwater, I cannot start the engines. Fantastic. Alright, well, let's see, how far is that? Could I swim that? 800 meters. It's going to be tricky. I think I can swim it, but the problem is a shark might appear. And a shark is generally bad news for a swimmer like me. But seeing how fast we're swimming, I'd say that it shouldn't be that much of a risk. 650. 640. So what I'm going to do now is get the boat that I previously designed, equip it with a winch, connect one winch to the winch on the helicopter, and try to tow the helicopter and sort of gently push it back into the bay of the starter base. With that, I can then despawn it. Because I really have no way of getting... There's the shark. I really have no way of getting it back to the actual helicopter base. Because that is quite a bit above sea level. Now, sometimes you can sort of... Well, I suppose you could call it dupe the game by what I'm doing right now. Which is trying to jump out of the water. And sometimes that works. To stay ahead of the shark. Because the game... seems to count it halfway towards swimming and halfway towards walking. And if you're out of the water, sharks don't touch you. So this might just work. I might just get away with this. Because normally a shark would immediately strike you again. They just come after you repeatedly until you're dead. But I just cannot even see the shark anymore. But for a Coast Guard guy, though, this guy really has a weird style of swimming. Anyway, that was a really bad first flight. I'm not sure why the helo crashed. I don't think it was a problem with the gyro. My RPS was fine. I was not carrying any cargo either. So it's not like I was really taxing the helicopter and pushing it to its maximum capacities. So why exactly the thing crashed? No idea. Might be a bug, might be a design failure on my part. I'm not really sure. At least we're back at base. I have a good bit of cash. Time to adjust one of the boats, spawn it in, and bring the helo back. Bit of salvage operation. Let's see. We had the... which was it? The Deepwater Horizon is the ship that I'm using currently. Okay, so I need a winch. That's going to sit on the back of the boat. Like that. I'm going to need a connector on that. So it's got... no, not a fluid connector. No, thanks. A small connector. Connect that up. And since I'm going to be operating this thing from the water, I want a couple of toggle buttons. I don't need the mirror mode active, so I can just have these right here. So that's going to be toggling it on and off. This is going to be raising the wire, so cable up. The lower button is going to be cable down, and the middle one is going to be toggling the connector on and off. So this is raise winch. This is lower the winch. And this is the connector. Now these things are generally dead slow unless you change it. So I'm going to move that to 5. Hook up all the electricity. Because if this thing doesn't get any power, it's not really going to be of any use to anybody. And that should just about do it. So now it's time to go and back and get my helicopter back. Paint this part, paint those, paint that block, and paint that. Alright. Oh, and there was one other thing that I wanted to do, which is add hydrofoils to the front of the boat. Those I do want in mirror mode. Because with a couple of hydrofoils, it might just be a little faster. And I should put them upside down, like that. Alright, connect these things up. One there, and they're going to need an input. Which is going to come from the hydrofoil throttle control, like that. Alright, this is the Deepwater Horizon. Save it and spawn it in. And that cost me quite a lot of cash. So now, once again, I need to fill it up, and I don't have too much fuel left. 3,000 liters. So there's a good chance that I'm going to have to build a tanker soon and start buying some more fuel. Here's the fuel connector. There we go. Get on board. I do have a disconnect fuel thing, I thought. Although I'm not sure. No, I don't think I have one. In that case, I'm going to have to manually disconnect it. There you go. Up, into the boat. Move it out on the propeller, so the electric motor. And of course the fins really start to catch on the side of the dock. If you have a boat which is as wide as the dock is wide, then that always happens. So throttle up. Start the engines. RPM's good. I have the bow connector. Where are my lights? Reverse. These are my lights. Actually, no, those are my lights. I just toggled the clutch. Alright, where's the helo? Here. That's where... oh. Don't jump off the boat. I need to go over there. Head full. Gear up. Well, I mean, like increase gear, not raise the landing gear. Get the hydrofoils going. They're not doing anything. No, they are doing something. I just don't have them configured properly. Okay, no hydrofoils. Doesn't work. Not yet, anyway. So we're just gonna have to go and get this helicopter back. It is almost going to be evening, which will complicate salvage procedures. So I'm hoping to do this thing quickly. 400 meters out. Fortunately, the helo does float, thanks to the floats mounted to the landing gear, or underneath the helicopter, if you will. There it is. Okay, slow it down. Connecting this thing up is going to be a little tricky. That'll do. Now I can reverse on that one electric prop that I have. Not too close, or this thing is going to behave very unpredictably. Now there's going to be one challenge. I'm going to have to go back on board the helicopter and lower the winch and turn it on. That means I'm going to have to hold my breath for a couple of seconds. Oh, crap. Recharge my oxygen. Lower the winch. Turn on the winch. And that'll be good enough for me. Okay. So now I should be able to at least pull this winch out of the frame of the helicopter a little bit. No, not by much. I think it might still have the retrieve winch turned on. Let's see if this is any better. I just pressed 6, which was my key to retrieve the winch. Yeah, so I can retrieve it, but I'm not extending it yet. Alright, now it should be extending. Fortunately, ladders work both ways. Yep, there we go. I am extending the winch, and with that, if I have enough length, I can get it beyond the floats, and I can hook up the connector to the connector on the boat. Where is the connector currently? I think it might be underneath the helo at this point. Yep, there it is. You can see it floating down there. Okay, that's good. Lower the winch. Toggle the connector. Let's grab it. Back to the surface. And hook him up. Oh, damn, I lost the other one. Ah, I can't reach it. I can't reach it. Gotta love how these things are always fighting me. Come on, boys. Don't you want to be friends? There we go, they're connected, and I'm out of breath. Okay. So now, it's time for the big test. Can this boat drag the helo back? Let's not start in gear 1. RPMs are good. Battery's good. Fuel's good. Start the engines. Engines are firing up. Winch is connected. And now it is back to base. Eventually, because this could very well take a while. Throttle to full. I hope that those connectors are going to hold. You see, it's really not that far. It's 900 meters out. The helo is rolling over and over. Hold on, I might be able to use that. If I can get the helo steady, slow down. No, it rolls over again. I was hoping that I can keep the helo steady. If I then disconnect it, then I might be able to just fly the helo again. Because the helicopter itself is fine. The problem is that it's upside down. .680. Switch gear. it's no longer flipping around. Probably because it's no longer getting resistance from the side floats. Now the challenge is going to be to get that helo close enough for me to be able to despawn it. With the despawn, I'm also going to lose out on quite a bit of fuel. Because I had about 500 liters in there. Which is... well, it sucks. But so be it. Oh, I also have another vehicle out there. And I had a couple of vehicles out here. I still need to do quite a bit of vehicle retrieval. Those are all the vehicles that we lost in the previous 10 episodes. So yeah, there's work to do. RPM is fine. Fuel's fine. And I really do want to retrieve those vehicles because they do give me additional blocks. Alright, let's slow it down a little. And this is where it's going to get tricky. Because this dock does not actually recognize the helicopter as a vehicle that I can retrieve. So I'm going to have to sort of get it back to base by tricking the game. Let's see, I can despawn the boat. But I cannot despawn the helicopter because the helicopter is not an actual boat. So this dock doesn't recognize it as such. And it shouldn't, of course. It really shouldn't. So I'm going to have to manhandle that helo back into the bay. Or into the dock of my small area. This is going to be tricky. Because despite the fact that this thing has floats, it will handle unpredictably. How am I for battery? Battery's not that good. Now, if I'm not mistaken, if I turn off the clutch and I run my engines to full, I think with this boat I might have my engines or my generators behind. Yeah, I have them behind the clutch. That's a problem. Not too fast. Just a little nudge. That's all it needs. Push it into the dock. Come on, a little more. Engines died. Again. Come on, helo, get in there. Reverse. That probably killed my engines again. Yeah, it did. Still can't despawn it. Could I push it in if I swim? Sometimes this does work. Yep, I'm kind of pushing it. Alright, let's get the boat back. Come on, helo. This is the way you need to go. Now you can sort of trick the game here. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my fluid connector from the tank that I have over there with the fuel that's normally supposed to go into the boats. And I can use that connector to draw the thing back in. Which, in a way, you could consider cheating. Because a fluid connector or a fuel hose is really not supposed to be strong enough to bring a whole vehicle back. It's like you're fueling up your car. And the fuel hose is dragging your car back into the gas station. By virtue of its, I don't know, its spring systems or retraction systems where it brings the fuel hose back into the holder for that. Nah, come on. Fucking fuel connectors. Gotcha. Okay, at least I'm getting the fuel back from this helo. That's one thing. Now I just need to get up here And I need to hose in. This could take a little bit of time, because I extended that thing quite far. Still getting fuel back. And now we're dragging it into the dock. I don't need it to go terribly quickly, but at least it's in the dock now. Whoa, it is acting a little unpredictable here. Okay, it looks like we got all the fuel out. Now I might be able to despawn it. Yep, edit vehicle in zone. It says, sorry, it's too large, but at least I got my helicopter back. And that's where I'm going to end the episode. Not an ideal first flight, but at least we know the helo works. It can fulfill missions if and when I need to. I just seem to have issues with random helicopter crashes. Anyway, this is for today. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon for more videos.